Hey everyone, we are going to read the March 3rd entry from Ryan Holiday's The Daily Stoic. Let's get into it. So the title of today's entry is Disintegration, where the dis is in parentheses in front of integration. So to me that makes it seem like we're going to talk about both disintegration and integration.
Right, something coming together or not, or something not. Oh, something not being together that needs to be together or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe something that is together and needs to be not together. It needs to be broken apart. To maybe like some thought processes need to be disintegrated in order for new integration can happen or something like that. Okay. I'm just reading way too much into it. Okay.
So it starts with Ryan, it starts with a quote from Epictetus, which is how Ryan Holiday pronounces it. But then we heard Robert Greene last night pronounce it as Epictetus?
Epictetus?
Epictetus, I think.
Epictetus, maybe. Yeah.
So I don't know.
But Epictetus.
Titus.
Well, but it could be all kinds of who knows.
Okay.
That guy.
This is a quote from Epictetus. I'm going to go with Ryan Holiday's pronunciation because that's the one I have baked in.
It sounds very, old and Greek or something. Yeah. Was he Greek? I don't know.
Yes,
okay.
Greek, yes. These things don't go together. You must be a unified human being, either good or bad. You must diligently work either on your own reasoning or on things out of your control. Take great care with the inside and not what's outside, which is to say, stand with the philosopher or else with the mob.
That's helpful.
Okay, so the idea of these things don't go together. You must be a unified human being, either good or bad. So he's setting up this dichotomy between good and bad. Yeah. And he's saying, like, because they don't go together, it's like you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You're either good or you're bad. And so then he's saying you must diligently work either on your own reasoning, so like your ability to see things clearly,
for how you see yourself, or how you
process
the whole world, like how do you look at this and say
yourself.
What this is in you, and then how do you look at yourself and says this is what it is in there. Okay.
Yes. So
like different questions for outside world versus questions for your own inside type of a thing.
Yes, like your own reasoning encapsulates all of that.
All of that.
Yes. And so that is good in what he's talking about. And now
to be doing the reasoning.
Yes, you can diligently work on your own reasoning. So getting that straightened up, or you can diligently work on the bad thing, which is the things that are outside of your control.
So he's saying like you have certain amount of energy and time and whatever, right? And you can spend it on focusing on doing questions for your inside, questioning yourself or questioning how you're looking at things. You can look at it that you can spend that time and effort on that.
Yeah.
Or you can spend the effort on looking at the world, how terrible and horrible it is, and how or something like that's how I'm looking at it. Like, and so he's saying, do the first one. Don't do
but the bad one is not focusing on like your opinion of what's bad in the world. What he's saying is bad is when you are putting all of your energy trying to control things that are outside of your control.
and I think that that's what I meant too. Like you're
Okay.
spending time on something that you don't have control over,
Right.
and you're just like worrying about it, or whatever that time that you have, you're spending on these things that you don't have much control over, versus, and you're not spending enough time on. At the same time, you cannot be spending time in both of
places.
these camps, right? So he's saying spend more time on the questioning of yourself, or questioning of how you're looking at things, and the things that you have control of, because that's where you actually have control of how you look at things is what you have control over. So then look at that more, spend time in the I have control over that versus not into so, okay, cool.
And then the quote ends with him saying, stand with the philosopher or else with the mob. So then he's further
So he's the philosopher, so he's saying stay with what I'm telling you, or you're gonna be continuously worrying about the things you don't have control over.
AKA the mob.
The mob, yeah.
Okay, so now we can look at Ryan Holiday's commentary on Epictetus's quote. This is just like a fractal of commentaries. We're all complicated people. We have multiple sides to ourselves, conflicting wants, desires, and fears. The outside world is no less confusing and contradictory. If we're not careful, all these forces, pushing and pulling, will eventually tear us apart. We can't live as both Jekyll and Hyde. Not for long, anyway. We have a choice: to stand with the philosopher and focus strenuously on the inside, or to behave like a leader of a mob, becoming whatever the crowd needs at a given moment. If we do not focus on our internal integration, on self-awareness, we risk external disintegration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it seems like it's similar explanation. The end was a little confusing there. If we don't focus on our internal integration, on self-awareness, we risk external disintegration. External, what does it mean by external? Like we can't function in the world properly or something, you know what I mean? Or like maybe in like a way that how we like to be in the world. Maybe it's like, if we continuously focus on the things we don't have control and try to serve the mob with whatever it needs, we don't never achieve the achieve is weird. No, maybe not achieve, but we end up spending too much time over there, and then again not on the self discovery or something, you know. So we might miss self-discovery, who we actually are somehow, because we're focusing on all the other stuff, aka a life will happen while you're making other plans or something, you know.
Yeah.
What about you? How is this?
Sounds good to me, man.
Yeah.
If we do not focus on our internal integration, on self-awareness, we risk external disintegration. Yeah. So like you need to work on putting yourself together internally through your reasoning, like how you're looking at things. Am I seeing my thoughts, my emotions, my behavior, other people's behavior? Am I seeing all of that clearly? Like that's my job, is to integrate all of that together. And if I don't do that, then externally things fall apart. And maybe that's what disintegration means, is falling apart. Building yourself internally so that you don't fall apart in your relationships, in your career, in just how your life is put together.
Do you have an example, like, that you can think of? I keep thinking about, like, hey, what example I could, Like where did I experience integration or disintegration or something like that?
I mean, yeah, I can think of the last job that I left. And it was coming from a place of like a lot of confusion internally and not being able to piece together a proper perspective on the whole thing. And so at some point it was just like, well, everything just kept falling apart externally to the point that I was like, well, somebody's going to need to cut the tie here. Either I quit or I get fired. And so yeah.
So that's how, and that's like, that was disintegrating, essentially, like disintegration.
Well, yeah, the whole I mean, there was relationships with all the people that I had over there. That's how I spent my entire day. So it's like, that's a big thing to change your job. And I didn't change it because things were going well and I was just like going to greener and better pastures. I left because it fell apart.
It got disintegrated, actually. It disintegrated. It's like
disintegrated.
Yeah. And so what does one do, like, to have this in their day? It's that,
like, how can we use it
same,
today?
yeah, or like, what's the action item from here? Like is it the, like, again, almost like from yesterday or the day before, like spending more time on questioning your internal processes or internal thinking or something like that, like how you're looking at things. It's like spending more time with that throughout the day versus or noticing, maybe just like noticing of when you're spending time with things you don't have control over.
I think
like
that
asking
for
that
sure,
question.
for sure,
like,
absolutely.
Like,
do I have control over this?
Control over this? Like, this is happening, or I'm thinking about this, right? First, okay, that's great. Do I have control over this? Okay, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Like some, there might be some of this, maybe like that's like the first question, or like putting that prism on, those glasses on, of like.
I mean, that will probably get you pretty far, because if you don't have control over it, the next thing to do is to stop thinking about it.
Kind of give up on it a little bit, yeah.
And then once you give up on it, now your next question to yourself is, okay, well, what could I spend my time thinking about that is something I do have control over? And now,
so like, what do I do instead?
Right. And now you are forcing yourself to think through, in whatever the situation may be, like, okay, like, I have control over my perspective. I have control over my behavior. I have control over my participation. So like, these are the things that I have control over. Let me spend my time.
Perspective, like how I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Because sometimes that's what it is. Like, and you don't want to think that. Like, you want to think that the world is wrong. But like, sometimes it truly is, no, I'm looking at it wrong. But I'm like too invested.
Or maybe not wrong, but I'm looking at it from this angle, and I'm very vested in that angle.
Yeah.
So it's not like you don't see other people's views. Like, yeah, of course they have other views, but internally you are vested very into that specific view, and you're saying, yeah, there are other views, but I'm not willing to go look at that or something. Go look at them, So going to look at them is actually the how it can shift from that current perspective.
Yeah.
To go look at, oh wow, there is a different perspective, and it is different, and it exists. I see. So there are multiple, and then these people are very vested into that perspective, right? And so you can start seeing those different things. Yeah, very cool. Good one.
I like that as like something you can do today, which is asking yourself whether you have control over something.
Yeah, perfect.
And if you find the answer is no, I don't have control over it, then the follow-up question is, well, what could I spend my time doing that I involves something I do have control over?
Yeah. Well, try it today. Good luck.